Hi, welcome to Growing Homemakers. My name is Sarah. We are participating in the Pantry Challenge and we decided to go through February and do it. And we're doing well. This will be week 5 of the Pantry Challenge for us. Now, Mom and I did both go grocery shopping this week. I have some video of that to see so you can see what we bought. I ended up going over that $50 limit I talked about. I think I spent $66 on things, but it was worth it. We're going to have some nice fresh produce in the house, which we haven't had in quite a while since we started the Pantry Challenge and kind of went through all of that in the first week and a half maybe. And then there were a few nights where some of us weren't home. So David and I had a birthday party to go to one day. So we actually had pizza at a pizza place for a 6-year-old's birthday. We did a lot of larger meals and then did leftovers for the week. Here are the videos of our week 5 Pantry Challenge.
I made my meatloaf. It's, I think I usually do 2 pounds of hamburger and 1 pound of pork, but it doesn't matter. Our hamburger is packaged like 1.5 pounds, so, and then normally I use Ritz crackers, and I can't tell you how much. I just know what it looks like. I crush up all the Ritz crackers, but since we're doing the Pantry Challenge, I had to use what we have, and we had Italian breadcrumbs, so I used that. And an egg and some milk, and then I mix all that together. And the reason I said I think use 2 pounds of hamburger because it usually makes 2 loaf pans, and it still made 2 loaf pans, but the meatloafs were a little smaller, but that's fine. And then I cook it at 350 for approximately an hour. I usually check it after 45 minutes, and then I put my sauce on it. My sauce, all it is yellow mustard, ketchup, and brown sugar, and just until you get the right tang with a little bit of sweet. And then, like I said, I put some of that on top about 15 minutes before it's done, and then I always have more for people to put on their plate. We thought we were out of vegetables, but I happened to find a bag of frozen vegetables, or a little bit of frozen vegetables, in the freezer yesterday, I think. And I wanted to make like Mexican corn, but it's mixed vegetables. And I don't know what I was doing. I put too much cayenne in, and it's pretty spicy. So Jack couldn't have it. Fortunately, we had enough corn, so we just heated that up for him. And I put lime in the veggies also, and butter. And so the red potatoes, I just took 4 of them, washed them, cut them up into chunks, like 1 inch, 3/4 inch chunks. Put them in the baking dish, put some olive oil, sprinkled some olive oil on them, some garlic powder and rosemary and salt, mixed them up, flipped them over, sprinkled some more of each of those, and baked them in the oven with the meatloaf. And they were done by the time the meatloaf was done, despite the fact that I got them in there earlier. Had they not been, I was going to take the meatloaf out and then put the potatoes back in at 425 instead of 350, and they would have cooked that. I have to say, filming on these cameras, the phone cameras, is really hard because you're supposed to look at the camera instead of at yourself, which is very difficult. So, and I know as a result of it, sometimes I look like I'm cross-eyed. I am not cross-eyed normally. I am making 3 things today. I'm making a basic white bread, so it's our everyday bread. And then I'm also going to churn some cream into butter, and I'm making some egg salad. So with the bread that I'm making, I like old cookbooks. This isn't that old, but I found it, when I was unboxing things. It's a McCall's cookbook, and I'm using the McCall's Basic White Bread. And this is what I've been using for the past, and it makes 2 loaves, which is nice because I can either freeze one or I can give one to Sarah and David. And I tend to do this with recipes sometimes. I don't always do them exactly the way they said, because in here they want you to put your milk in a small saucepan and heat it just until bubbles form around the edge. I'm not sure why they do that, unless it's for flavor. Maybe it gives a little more of a flavor like scalded milk. I am not using milk. I am using buttermilk. So I just microwave mine, and get it to the 105 to 115 degrees. But when I proof my yeast, I put it in the water. So I put a little bit of sugar in the water. It's a quarter of a cup of water. And then I put my yeast in there. And then when it starts to bubble, then I dump it in the milk, add the rest of the sugar, add the melted butter into there. And then it all goes in my flour, and in my flour I've already added my salt and I would have my salt in my flour. Now my flour looks brown, and the reason for that is we buy from Azure Standard, and I bought their bread flour, their ultra unifying bread flour. You can go on there and read about it. It's healthier. It's not bleached, so it looks brown. It is soft, like white flour normally is. But when I make my bread, it does give it a whole wheaty look. A little bit of a whole. It gives it a brown look, which I will show you that at the end. I'm not going to show you my whole process here. So, and then the next thing that I'm making, so here's cream. I still have some more milk in the fridge, so I'll skim some more. But this is from last week, both of these. So I have a little bit of cream from this week because we were only able to get 2.5 gallons of milk. So I'll be turning that into butter. This is my butter churn. I actually picked up another one. It doesn't work. The motor doesn't work. But I like the, whatever that thing is called, the mixer on the inside. It's metal. It's not plastic. This one works fine, but now I have 2 of them. I actually thought this jar was smaller. It's not. It's taller and thinner. But now I have an extra jar too, because we were worried about that, because these are very wide on the top. So I was worried about not having that. And this is the butter I'm using, is butter that I had previously churned. And then here's my buttermilk that I'm going to be using. That's from last week. If it's a little yeasty smelling, I don't throw it out or anything. It's not bad. You wouldn't throw it out. You want to use that. So mix it up. I'll put it in my measuring cup. It will separate a little bit when I'm when I'm microwaving it and stuff. And then I'm going to make egg salad. These are eggs that we got from a local farmer. We are getting 1 a day from the 6 chickens we have left, but I ate that for breakfast along with one of these and 1 piece of toast from the loaf of bread that I made last week, and that's almost gone. And in my egg salad, I put onion. I do have fresh onion. So we still have some really small. They're like this big that came out of our garden. So I'll probably use some of that. And then we have freeze-dried celery here. I have not reconstituted that yet, but I'll get that on video just so you can see what that looks like. What I heard about reconstituting is if it's cooked. So like if you have something that's cooked, you want to use hot water. And if it's not cooked, you would use like room temperature water. I wouldn't use cold water, I don't think. So I will be using room temperature water for that. I put some celery in here and put a little bit of tepid water. And tastes great. It's a little, not as crunchy as it normally is. But I'm going to strain the rest of the water out, and it'll be fine for my egg salad. So that took like 2 minutes for it to absorb that. Okay, my bread has doubled. It's got, I can put my finger in it. Oops, sorry. And it keeps an indent, and you can see it's got some bubbles in it. I put it, this is my bowl. I like old things, so my daughter got me a bowl from an antique store that used to be used to make butter and bread and things. I actually have one that I used for butter and one that I used for bread. This one I used for bread. I put mine in the oven because it's kind of cool in my house. And I put it in the oven to rise and put the light on. So it took, they say about an hour. Well, it was about 45 minutes. So now I'm going to punch it down, separate it into 2 loaves. In the meantime, I put my cream in here, so I'm churning my butter. I don't have to do anything with that. I just leave it until it separates, and then I'll strain out the whey and let the butter drain a little bit. And then I'll put it in my other wooden bowl that I use for my butter, and I will rinse my butter then. My eggs are done. There's my boiled eggs. And I did rehydrate my celery. I showed you that. And maybe I would have taken that out a little earlier because you can see it's kind of wet and squishy. But it's still a little crunchy, not like celery normally is. But it'll be fine in my egg salad. Once I'm done with that, I have some red onion in there. I cut some of this is a sweet onion. I cut some of that up too. I'm not sure if I'm going to add that or not. I have my loaf pans ready with parchment paper in them. So my bread now, once I divide it, has to rise again. Then you shape it into loaves and put it in the pans, and then it has to rise again. That I have been rising that in my oven with the light on, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I haven't decided if I'm going to do that again, or if I'm just going to leave it on top of the stove. Twice I've had where it's fallen, so my bread is kind of caved in. I attributed that to having to take it out of the oven, but that's not really fair because you have to move it to put it in the oven when you cook it. So I think it's really that I over-proofed it. So I will probably put it in. If I do put it in the oven, I'll do it for a half an hour. Then I'll take it out. Then I'll set my oven. Then I'll turn my oven on. I think it's 400 or 450. 400. And then that way the bread's probably going to be complete after 45 minutes, and then I would put it in the oven. Okay, so the egg salad is done. That's what it looks like. I'm already eating it because I'm starving, and I'm eating it with some saltine crackers that we still had. I am drinking canned cantaloupe juice. So I'm drinking agua fresca, which I put cantaloupe juice, sparkling water, and some lime. And it's yummy. And then my bread, I'm waiting for the oven to preheat. And there's my bread that's going to go in the oven once that's at 400. My butter is, I drain the whey out of it. It's down there. And there's the butter. I still have to wash it. All right, well, here's my bread. My daughter says it's misshapen. I'm not particular about the loaf. But it looks like it sunk a little bit again. I don't know why it's doing that. It seems to have started doing that when I changed to the, what did I say? It was ultra fine, that other flour. So I may have to do half and half. Go back to my bread flour and see what's going on. or just try making this recipe with my other flour and see if it does it. But it still looks good. Yeah, this time I didn't make it into a loaf where you stretch it out and then you fold it over in thirds and then you make it into a loaf. I just kind of turned the ball into a loaf. And
so husband and I had a very busy, long day today. It's 9 o'clock at night and I never got a chance to make dinner. So tonight's dinner is popcorn and a movie. I used to make popcorn on the stove. And then as one of our secret Santas, or white elephants, I should say, I got one of these popcorn makers. And I normally would have never bought it for myself because it's just a one-use machine in my household. But it is absolutely awesome. This bowl right here is what one of the machines made. It is huge. And this is our dinner tonight on the Pantry Challenge.
Hey everybody, so tonight's Pantry Challenge meal is actually a freezer challenge meal. We have cheese tortellini and andouille sausage that we had in the freezer from, I'm not even sure when. The andouille sausage was probably purchased fairly recently, 5 or 6 months ago. The tortellinis, it was an open bag, like a half a bag. It's been quite a long time since we've had that. So, and then in andouille sausage, we're just doing onions, which those are onions out of our garden, and then some sweet red pepper. And we actually bought that at the grocery store. It's one of the only things that we purchased at the grocery store recently. So that's it. That's what we're doing for our pantry challenge, freezer challenge, pantry freezer challenge meal for the night.
Pantry includes the freezer.
Right. So, all right. Thanks.
All right. So one of the last videos we did when we said we were going to continue with the pantry challenge, we said we were probably going to go to the grocery store and buy a few things. So Dave and I went to the grocery store. Actually, it was last Wednesday now, or this past Wednesday. Today is Saturday, February what? 3rd. So we bought a bag of red potatoes. We bought a red onion. Even though we have onions, our onions are like that big, and a lot of them are sweet, and I like a good red onion. And, you know, if you need to chop up a lot of onion or you want a nice slice on a sandwich, you know, when your onions are this big, it's really cumbersome. But anyway, we're using those up too. We got broccoli. We got red peppers, which she's using one for dinner tonight. We got Cara oranges. These are yummy if you've never had them. We got some lettuce, some green leaf lettuce. And we got some ahi tuna because we love ahi tuna, and we happened to find it. They're not real big pieces. They're small pieces, but they look good.
Arkansas.
Yeah, in Mountain Home, Arkansas, when we were there for something, which is about an hour away from us. So, but everything big city is about an hour away from us. So that's what we got, and some non-food stuff. A couple of mouse traps because we have mice in our plant shack that are eating the tops off the plants, the seedlings, and some seed potatoes. I've never bought seed potatoes in my life. I have always, sorry about that. I have always just planted potatoes that started growing. You know, we've got some in our pantry right now that started growing, and we'll be planting those, but we'll be planting the seed potatoes too. So, anyways, that's what we got at this grocery store.
So I saw in one of my Facebook sourdough groups, a lady took her active sourdough starter and dipped little chicken, like nugget sized pieces of chicken into her starter and deep fried it. And she said it's her new favorite chicken nuggets. So that is what we're going to do today. On the cutting board, I have about 2.5 chicken breasts. I had some orange sauce, like for orange chicken, Chinese food chicken. So I had some orange sauce. I marinated them in, and then my sourdough starter, and we're gonna fry it up in tallow.
And this is tallow that we canned 212 of 23. So this is from last year's steer that we took in. And then we're going to do broccoli.
So
That we're steaming.
So look at me now. So in the post, she didn't season anything. She didn't say she salted it, peppered it, or anything. We're going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to my sourdough starter, see how that works. We don't want to add really any other stuff because I had the marinade on the chicken. So we're going to experiment again tonight and see how it works.
Recording.
All right, so my first piece is in the sourdough. We added a little milk because my sourdough starter was so thick. So here you guys are going to witness our first piece. That was a little anticlimactic.
That's good. That's perfect.
There we go. So that's weird and black on the top. I wonder if that's where it touched the cast iron. We'll see.
Perfectly cooked.
It is cooked in there. Let us try it. Well, we're going to wait for it to cool off a minute, and then we'll try it. So here is the finished product. Just some steamed broccoli, a little butter and salt, and the chicken. It actually turned out really good. And we found two things that taste really good with it. Mom and Dave had this jar of sweet orange marmalade. We put a couple drops of our homemade hot sauce, which is this, that Mom made for the first time this year. So a couple drops of homemade hot sauce and a little bit of apple cider vinegar into the marmalade to mix it up so that it was a little thinner. And it's almost just like sweet and sour sauce with a little bite to it. It is delicious. And then the other thing that's really yummy are these pickled sweet onions that we canned this summer. That's really good with it too if you like something sweet. And that is our Pantry Challenge dinner for tonight. And we will be making this again and using my sourdough starter to probably fry up lots of other things.
Okay, so tonight's meal, I got gravy here, mashed potatoes, and what I made out of an arm roast is a Chicago Italian beef, shredded Italian beef. We had about half a jar of homemade jardinera peppers from when we still lived up north, and I used those to make the Italian beef. 2 pints of beef broth that we did this year, arm roast from our last steer, and then I just did a quick smashed potatoes with sour cream and butter, and then I made a roux out of beef tallow and flour, and then added the liquid out of the Italian beef to make a really fantastic gravy. It'll have a little bit of spice to it, not too much. Our jardinera is pretty mild. But that's tonight's meal. That's it.
It's all on my tiny counter. Sorry, there's my sink also. But I got a spaghetti squash, a butternut squash, bananas for my little man. My splurge, I like dark chocolate with peanut butter. We make our peanut butter at home now. I did buy 2 dark chocolate bars. And at night after dinner, sometimes I like to have a piece with a little bit of peanut butter on it. I got a huge bok choy back there. I got raspberries, again, mostly for my little man. A 2-pound thing of 2-pound thing of mozzarella cheese, because we are out of cheese until Azure comes. Green onions. 2 cucumbers. I already broke into one of them when I got home because I was hungry. Cauliflower, broccoli, and can't go to the store without getting some seeds for the garden. We are out of bunching onions or green onions, and so I picked up 2 packs. That way I do not have to buy them from the grocery store all summer long. I do buy organic. I think this is organic. Yep. And cauliflower is organic when I can, but not everything is available organic. But this is what I bought. I will not spend any more money the month of February on my groceries. And this, except for, I shouldn't say that, except for maybe if there's something for the dogs I need or the baby. But this gives us some fresh produce for our home to make with our meals for the month of February, because we are still going strong with the Pantry Challenge.
Thank you for joining us at Growing Home Acres. And, leave comments. Let us know how you're doing on your Pantry Challenge. Thanks. Bye-bye.